Design Donderdag. Dit keer zonder Jeroen, maar met Steve. Jeroen moest helaas last minute nog moest een presentatie geven op het congres over AI en Copilot. Dus ik ben vandaag volledig de host en in control. And we're going to switch to English because Steve is from the Czech Republic. Yes, I won't surprise you. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're very welcome. So nice for you to make time for us. I know how full your schedule is, or at least I have an idea of how full it is. So it's very appreciated. For all of our viewers at home, please say hi in the comments. We always like that, as you know, and ask your questions as well. Yeah, do we have viewers from the Czech Republic as well?
Hopefully.
Do you think? Okay, yeah, we'll see. Okay, well, Steve, officially Štěpán Rešl, do I say it correctly? Probably very wrong.
It was very close.
Very close. Okay, cool. Well, I know you from the conferences and from your blog, Meerkat blog, but you're doing way more than that. So maybe you can introduce yourself first.
Okay, thank you so much, Lonneke. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. And as was mentioned, my name is Štěpán Rešl. I'm from a small country in the middle of the Czech Republic, middle of Europe, sorry, which is called Czech Republic, where I'm co-founder of a company called Data Brothers, where I currently work as a lead technical consultant. And
with your brother?
Yes, exactly.
Surprising, yeah.
I'm also one of the Microsoft most valuable professional on a data platform. And for Czech audience, I many years ago created a blog which is called Jak na Power BI. In English, How to Power BI it would be. And I have here the podcast called Power BI Kafičko, Power BI Coffee. And for English audience, I've started to create a blog 2 years ago, I think, or which is called Data Meerkat, where I'm trying to go much more deeper in certain topics. Some of them are on visualization, some of them on administration, some of them just about the coding.
Nice. Very interesting. And well, I invited you to join us and talk about the use of SVG images within Power BI. Because, well, I think it was our last Design Donderdag, Design Thursday, we had our guest talking about Dana, creating your own visuals. But now we also, well, before Dana, we already had SVGs as well. And I know you're really good at it. And I started like, okay, let's Google a bit more about it. And I immediately ended up on your blog. So I think we came to the right person.
In that case, I'm very happy that you've ended up on my blog.
Yes.
I have to say, SVGs are here much longer than a Power BI itself.
Yeah.
Because the SVGs as itself stands for Scalable Vector Graphic, which is a type of how we can behave with our graphical stuff, besides just a raster graphic. And maybe that's something where we should start, because maybe for someone it can be a little bit new or something that they are not aware of that heavily.
Confusing. I know that a lot of my clients, when I ask them for an SVG format of their logo, they're like, well, I have JPEG, so maybe we should start there. What is the difference?
Okay. Hopefully everything will work. Yep. So I even had this point in our agenda just to be
very
sure.
Good. Yeah, great.
So at the complete beginning, I would like to say, as you can see in the right part of my presentation, I have here my little helper, the Meerkat magician, that is quite precise in case of all pixels, everything seems to be cleared. But the raster graphic is every time represents as a 2-dimensional grid of our pixels, where every pixel has its own color. And based on that, everything is rendered. So if we will try to zoom into these images, like now,
Mhm.
everything will seems to be pixelated, because
Yeah.
based on the resolution, how these images were created, everything will look like. So we know that in that case, we need to be using that images precisely in the
Yeah.
resolution as they were created.
Yeah.
That's quite nice, but oh, it's quite nice because in that case we know every time in that specific way, if we use them like that, everything will perfectly smooth and
Yeah.
actually pretty quick. But besides these types of graphics, we have the vector graphic, and the vector graphic stands for something a little bit different. In that case, images are every time calculated based on the resolution how we are trying to show them. So every single time these type of images, it doesn't matter if it's a SVG, EPS, even a PDF files,
Yeah.
everything can be zoomed in or out quite heavily to show us as clear graphic as is possible. In
Yeah.
that case, we are using some mathematical methods to be able to precisely show everything. These type of graphics are quite often called like images without any quality loss, because based on mathematical principle, they can be expanded and shortened as we need it. To be honest, if someone is starting with SVGs or with these type of files, they can quite easily get into some issues with this, because they can start be using something like width or height of specific SVG elements, and in that case we are setting the maximal size. So even after when we will try to make something bigger, it will not be expanding. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I will be talking about that very fast.
A bit more later on. Yeah,
Yes.
I totally understand. Okay.
As you
Yes.
can see, I have here the Fabric logo, because currently Fabric is a trendy. Of course it is, because it's
Mm-hmm.
extremely powerful. And it was very easy to make it bigger or smaller just by dragging it and resizing it. And
Yeah.
nothing has changed. Not the gradient, not any
So
pixelation. And
to somehow try to summarizing it, it's like you calculate where certain elements of the SVG should be. There are lines
yes,
in between that will just stretch as far. Well, it's not stretching, but be elongated between those points. Like stretching would make them thinner, but so they're just connecting the points. You define where certain points should be, and the
exactly.
SVG makes sure that they are all connected in the way that you want, if it's a curve or a line or etc.
Exactly, because on the background of almost all vector graphics, we are using the Cartesian plane. And it's just about just on us as authors how we will set up this Cartesian plane. If it will be 100 to 100, or like 100 pixels, basic pixels,
Yeah.
on a width or height, or if it will be bigger. And based on this setup, everything will be stretching.
Yeah. Okay. Can you of course, I understand, but maybe some people don't know what a Cartesian plane is.
Yeah, why not? In that case, I will, for a moment, switch from PowerPoint presentation
Yes.
directly into Visual Studio
The
Code.
technical stuff.
Originally, I was
Yes.
about to get here much longer.
Later on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but why not?
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool.
you can imagine Cartesian plane as a system of coordinates in a space, in a two-dimensional way. So every
Yeah.
time you have a x position and a u position.
Yeah.
And based on these positions, you're capable to grab a point and drop it somewhere. And it will be precisely on that specific point. If you will have another point and you would like to create just a line between of them, you just need to set up the point 1, point 2, and
Yeah.
set create between these points the line.
And you create that grid, if we say it like that. You define it at the start.
Yes.
Somehow. Yeah. We have a question. We have a question. And I
Of
think it's
course.
an interesting one. So number of pixels will be augmented depending on size. So Eline van Maurix asked us this, but it's going to pixels again. So I'm curious how you answer it.
Sorry, I just need to get back because
Sure, I understand. Yeah.
so the number of pixels will be augmented depending on the size. Actually, yes, because we are not precisely using here the pixels. We are using, let's call it like imaginary numbers. That we have some coordinates 1 to 10 and 1 to 10. And in this space, we're just pointing where the exact point will be. And after resizing it, everything will recalculate based on the new size from the outside with the new ratio to resize the original image.
Cool. Yes. I hope that answers your question, Eline. Otherwise, let us know. But, please continue, Steve.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to, but as you know, every time when you're trying to have some presentation, something will happen. And I'm very happy that you're capable to see my second screen, because currently I'm not able to see that. So I will just quickly stop my screen sharing and I will return it in a second, because I will need to kill the AGM file.
Yeah.
And
yes,
now,
Eline is happy. Eline
nice.
says thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so I will start my sharing again. So entire screen.
This is just part of doing things live. No worries. Part of the deal.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens.
You know
So
how it works. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to our presentation, because I think will be great to start with how SVGs can be used. Because you've already mentioned one point that is quite often we're asking some company that, hey, we would like to have your logo in SVGs. And that's precisely the point where quite a lot of people are starting with SVGs. Because when you have a logo in SVG, you can make it bigger, shorter, without any loss of the preciseness of the images. But it can be extremely variable, and it can be used for much more things, like, as we mentioned, the logo. But even on the icons, different between logo and the icons. On one of them you can click, on one of them you not. So one of them is interactable. But besides that, in SVG, you can create absolutely anything. So it can be even a card that can show you some results or some insights that you possibly need. Or you can even create full charts of that.
Yeah. And this card, one step back. The card, is it completely made with SVG, or is it a standard card with SVG elements in it?
This, what you're currently capable to see, is from a Power BI.
Okay.
And it's a new visual card.
Yeah.
Where the 106.1% is the basic value of this card. And everything under that is SVG.
Ah, okay.
For me, SVGs are extremely handy in case of a data storytelling, because I can use much more principles than just leveraging of hue or intensity of a colors. In that case, I can be playing with a size, with density, with a rotation, with absolutely every point that's inside of that. Because what you will create in SVG is just up to you, and it can do absolutely anything, even the animations. So in that case, you can draw the attention to exact certain point where it should be.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
So
great. Sounds good so far.
so we know that SVGs can be extremely variable, but making them can be a little bit hard, to be honest.
I tried once.
Especially on the beginning. After a few tries, you will find out that it's not that hard at all. But on a complete beginning, for quite a lot of people, it can seem like that. And for that, I think it's quite good to know that there are two ways how to be creating them. Of course, there will be much more, but two basic ways how to create them. First is through some SVG editor. It can be Inkscape, Vectorinator, Adobe Illustrator, or many another possible tools that are all over the internet.
Yeah, more the graphical tools.
Yes, the graphical tools.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you can be creating SVGs even in a text editor. It can be a notepad. It can be VS Code or PSPad. Absolutely any text editor that you can use can be used for creating the SVGs.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think one thing that I remember, I'm sorry to interrupt. With, for instance, PowerPoint, you can save things as an SVG.
Yes.
So I know from some people, they put a photo on PowerPoint, save it as an SVG, and think it's an SVG. What do you think about that?
That's definitely not an SVG.
No.
In case of SVGs, you can use extreme amount of internal elements to be able to create or render anything that you would like to. But if you would grab a normal raster graphic into the PowerPoint and then save it as a SVG, what will happen will be that your raster graphic will be overcalculated on the binary level and saved as a still raster graphic inside the SVG encoded by element image. So even in that case, if you will be expanding, it will be pixelizing because it's not that easy to convert raster graphic into vector one.
I know. Yeah.
But if you will be creating just stuff from PowerPoint elements like squares, circles, ellipses, everything else, that can be converted into the SVGs quite easily.
Yeah, and also all the icons that are offered in PowerPoint, you can all save them as SVGs. But just don't bring in any PNGs, JPEGs, any raster files, and try to save it as an SVG, because it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. When people are trying to decide what will they use for creating the SVGs, if it will be that editor or SVG editor or the text editor, a lot of people will decide to go for the SVG editor because it will be clicky, clicky, draggy, droppy.
It's visual. We like visual.
Yeah, of course. Everyone loves visuals. But for me, to be honest, it's a no-go. Quite often, I'm not even thinking about using the SVG editors, and I have one specific reason for that. The reason is that it's nice that I'm capable to draw something extremely fast. That's nice. But on the other hand, I don't have a full control over the elements that are used. And after a few slides, I will be showing that there's many ways how to actually create a simple line in SVG. And if someone is starting and would like to create a SVG and then reuse it in a Power BI for some dynamic visualizations, this can be pretty hard to make it dynamic after, because in that case, they need to know what element were used and how they can modify that.
Yeah.
In case of a text editor, every time you will be only using the elements that you know.
Okay,
Because if you don't know them,
let's dive in. Let's dive in.
Okay.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Definitely, I have here some pluses of minuses of both of them.
Yeah.
First, for SVG editor, its UI is a UI way how to create it, so it's more user friendly. It supports more creativity because you can just
Go
drag
quicker
and drop it
through
and
it,
create
and
everything. You don't need to know that element. So if you are just creating the SVG for any other purposes than to make them dynamic, it's fine. In that case, it's completely fine. For me, I'm mostly using them for dynamic purposes. Like, hey, I would like to recreate this SVG directly in a Power BI to be able to render it, or creating the charts of that. Then it's not for me.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a minuses, like the control of that elements and the structure that are used quite often, even in case of the CSS elements, because on the background, SVG is just XML file, and it can be extended by CSS, so it can look pretty nice, and every patterns can be mostly used on that.
Yeah.
In case of text editor, every time it's the same. It's based on what you will create directly inside.
Yeah.
Quite often you will create much more simpler solutions, which is also quite better because in that case it's much more easier maintainable, and you have absolute control over what you're doing.
Yes. Can you show some examples, for instance?
Yeah, of course.
No, you had your ideas with your schemes, but I'm a bit looking at our time, so let's not.
Okay. I know. Sorry, every
I'm
time
very
when I'm starting,
curious. I'm curious. Yeah.
when I start speaking, it's
I know. I'm
hard
helping.
to stop. So in that case, I will, for a moment, jump into the Power BI. So just tell me if you're able to see that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I will be showing just the some SVGs inside the Power BI. As you can see, for now, I have very simple table, because that's something what we were not capable, or what I was not capable to tell you currently, is that SVGs can be currently rendered in 4 parts of a Power BI. First, if it's not a dynamic SVG but a static one, which means it should not be recalculated over
based
and
on
over
measures
based on the selections, you can use it by insert, buttons, and a blank. In that case, you can just load it inside. That's fine. But if you would like to make it dynamic, like in this case, so I can just change the month, and as you can see, everything moved. I can do that, but in that case, only for 3 visuals: table, matrix, and new visual card. Only these 3 can render SVGs.
Okay.
And this is the first one. I have a table, and based on some selection of mostly anything, it's recalculating the points that are assigned to specific products. It can be used for variable usage, even for forms, etc. You can be creating even your own column charts with more further details. This, what you can see currently, is in a new visual card. This fully is just rendered completely in SVG.
Yeah. And then you put it, maybe it's already too much detail, but is it like a reference label, or where do you add it to the card?
As you can see, I have here the measure, which is called blank. That's actually one of my favorite measures.
I saw it in your blog. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it in every single model. Every single my model has measures called blank, and to be honest, it's really just a blank. Nothing else. Okay, duck separators.
I have those too, but they don't give this result.
Yeah, that's true. Quite often, I'm overwriting them by calculation groups, or like in this case, I'm capable in setup of the new visual card. Go to format, to images, and set up the FX, so conditional formatting for image URL, where I'm actually using another measure, this one, which is called SVG column chart. And this second measure, so SVG column chart, which will be this one, is the one that renders everything else. And as you can see, it contains quite a lot of text.
Yeah. Yeah.
But mostly, it's just because I need to be recreating my SVG elements directly inside the DAX that at the end renders everything. So right now I have 8 columns, currently only 3, and 12.
Yeah.
So that's for that I need my DAX, because I need to be able to recalculate everything.
Yeah.
You can create even a spider charts, column KPIs. Okay, I have it zoomed a little bit too much. So everything can be extremely dynamic, just depends on what you will create. You can have the connected lines. You can have even a animated charts.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, SVGs even support keyframes. So I can set up a specific keyframes, and based on these keyframes, everything will be calculated and shown like in this way. So right now I was showing some results for IoT-A. So for IoT-B,
what is the keyframe? What is a keyframe?
Keyframe is a point in a time, and between these points in a time, I can set how my my elements in the SVGs should behave.
So that's what you use to create the animations, and you can say how quickly it should go, etc. Okay.
Exactly. You can have some progression bars. You can have buffer charts, even a complete recreation of the waterfalls. Because I don't know how you like a native Power BI waterfall, but for me, it's not quite a great visual because it doesn't support a lot of customization.
And let's say it needs an update from Microsoft, from the visual team. Yes.
Right now,
I think they will. Yeah.
I can just add some base value. It directly appeared, and everything is recalculating, as you can see, as smooth as normal native visual.
Yeah. Perfect.
If I would like to get rid of it,
in this case, also you have it in the new card. I think the new card visual for you is like the perfect new thing, because otherwise you would have the table and you always have the column header and nice.
That's true. Once this new visual of card appeared, a lot of things changed, like extremely, because in that case you can be finally rendering SVGs without any mostly without any limitations, and you don't need to have any headers or anything else. On the other hand, you don't have any capability of a tooltip. So I'm not capable to click here to anyone and have an interaction. So I know it's still an image. But on the other hand, I'm capable to start creating extremely dynamic reports that they can show very different, various styles of what I would like to say. But still, even in case of a matrices or tables, SVGs can extremely help you, because we, or quite a lot of people, like spark lines, or I like at least spark lines in
I love them.
matrices. And as you can see, here is an SVG that is actually like a spark line inside the matrix.
It's my favorite. It's the sort of bullet chart.
Exactly. It's a bullet chart. And you can create extremely various type of SVG that will be rendered like that. I like even using the box plot when I'm trying to find the data distribution of my data and finding of extremes and outliers. And even that is something that can be done, because as you can see, here I have the matrix, and it's showing me the box plot.
Even the individual values with it.
Yes.
Nice.
So
but the box plot made me go from doing statistical analysis for companies towards data communication and visualization, because my clients did not understand the box plot. So I'm also box plots are good to explore your data, but for most clients they're out of reach.
The box plot is extremely helpful when you're working in statistics, or you're doing a full data analyst, because in that case you need something which is called data profilation, and in that case data distribution, and you're trying to find the outliers or extremes in your data to get rid of them, but find out if there should be inside or if it's really just something that happened completely randomly. And
okay.
Boxplot can help with that.
Yeah, I'm very curious for our viewers. Let us know if you're already using SVGs, if you're maybe excited to get started with this based on all these examples, or maybe even are already using the animated ones. So put it in the chat or in the, what's it called, on the comments in LinkedIn, and let us know, because I'm very curious if I'm the last one here starting with it.
Maybe I have a question on you. What thing of a visual do you think is this one?
Well, for me, it's an, I would call it the bully chart with some extensions, but probably you have it in a card visual.
And that's something that I would like to a little bit more explain, because thanks for the guess. This is not in a visual card.
Yeah, okay.
This is actually the matrix. And that's
more
also
newbies. yeah, sorry.
It's completely fine. What I'm trying to show is that quite often this can also extremely help you to show much more that you have inside your data, but quite often it requires to be thinking a little bit outside of the box. If I know that I will be showing something that needs to be interactive, I need to use the table or a matrix still, as I said previously.
Yeah, and then you can click and have your tool to
yeah. So
cool.
Quite often it's good to be aware that this can be rendered almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was just from the examples.
Yes, okay. Then start with the technical stuff, I think.
Yep, because as I was saying previously, different in case of editors, different editor will use different behavior, and in that case, what I need to explain is that there are completely different elements and attributes that can be used for even completely the same stuff. Like I've mentioned, that we have here some different ways how to create the lines, or even the circles, even the rectangles, because in case of a SVG, we already know that we have here some type of coordinates that we can use, but we have much more elements that can be used. And now I'm showing you 3 different ways how to create the line. Or maybe I should be a little bit more specific. 4 ways. There are 4 different lines, and one that is curved. That's the one that I'm currently taking out of it. In the code, you can see it. There's element which is called line, but line every time needs to be defined between the point 1 and the point 2, which is quite easy to understand. Lots of graphical editors will not use line element. Mostly they will use path, because path is the most generic element in the whole SVG world.
Yeah.
Path is here to render line between any 2 points that you can imagine in a whole Cartesian plane. And based on some specific letters like M, L, H, C, D, Q, and more, this line will be created. And quite often, it's not just grabbing 2 points together, like in a last pathway when I have a C, which means cubic line, cubic curve. Sorry. In that case, I need to be specifying my start point my endpoint, and middle point that will be used as a grabber.
Pulls the line. Yeah.
Yes. So in that case, I'm actually taking this 1 point, right? Wait a minute, it's a 10. Yeah. So this 1 point, and I'm using it to curve all the line. And imagine that you will create your SVG in some tool, then you will open that to make it dynamic, for example, in a DAX, and you will see a lots of very, very, very strange letters inside your definition of even a line, or which is something versa, in a text, because thanks to the path, you can be rendering even text if you're capable to precisely create all points of, for example, the letter A. And in that case, rewrite it to E or M, L, or whatever any chart, it will be extremely hard. For that, I'm strongly suggesting start working with text editors when you would like to make it dynamic, or you would like to be able to do quick changes. If you're creating SVG for any other purposes, go directly for visual editors.
Yeah, I understand.
Cool. For anyone who would like to know a little bit more about all possible elements and about all their possible attributes, you can go to these links: developer.mozilla.org or W3 School, or just do W3. For me, actually, the developer.mozilla.org is one of the best sources that I'm using.
Okay, good to know. we can put them in the comments after the session as well. So then it's even easier than people having going to back through the entire Design Donderdag. Yes.
As I mentioned, in case of Power BI, we have two different types of SVG: static and dynamic ones. Static ones are the ones that are not changing in case of any interaction with any other Power BI visuals, all based on the data. Dynamic should be interactive. And as we mentioned, dynamic can be used in a table or matrix or in a card. The table and the matrix can be extremely powerful because they have a possibility to render the SVG on every row level, but also in a total cells. So if you write it properly, it can very help you to show the details. And I don't know how you, but I like elevating different parts of a text when I'm trying to showing some tables. So let's, for example, say that I will be showing for all people all their spent man days on a project. So it will be like 5 man days, 3.2, etc. And I would like to see if between months it somehow changed. So I have possibility to add another column that will have completely the same size of a text as a previous one, or I can create it in a one cell thanks to the SVGs, and I can grab the second text and make it smaller. And if it will be in some certain of limits, it can that one text that will be small can be green, red, or just gray, or use any other color. It can even be bolden or in italic, and I have absolute control all over all the text inside.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's sometimes what I miss in my tools, indeed, the conditional formatting to make something bold instead of regular.
Yeah.
You can do
SVGs.
Colors, but other than that, no. Yeah.
Cool. So in that case, maybe you will start using the SVGs for that, because what I've showed you, there's also another type of a bullet chart that can be used, and to be honest, we use it internally. because it was extremely easy to create. To create a bullet chart like this, as you can see in a right image, it was three elements of SVGs only. So 2 rectangles, 1 line, and 5 lines of a DAX code. Nothing else. Which is quite nice. It's not hard at all. Of course, in that otherwise you can create much more. And it just depends on imagination. And no, I wanted to go back because I have here the canvas, and what I would like to show you is how to quite easily create some bullet chart like you were capable to see on one of the previous slides. And I will do it currently just inside the code. So I will go under my grid, which is just a part I've created for us to be a little bit easier to navigate inside all of it. So I will use the rect, which stands for the rectangle. And I need to start specifying the basic coordinates of our rectangle. So let's say that it will be from the 50 to 70. In that case, I will go to a 50 and I will say that height of this rectangle will be 20. I know that if I will go for 50 and it will be to 20, it will be actually shown at 4 because I've set up my view box, which is for me the setuping exact coordinates in the Cartesian plane up to 10. So it's a little bit moved to have here the space. So I need to change 50 to 60. Sorry for that. And same will be for the U, where I will go from 10 and it will be to width, which will be currently just for 50. And I've switched the sides. So 10 and
the X and I, right.
So now we have between a 50 and 70, and the width can be even 70 or 90 to have it exactly between what we would like to. And if I would like to add some color to that, it's just by attribute called fill. So let's add fill and let's add some nice color like E6, 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 which is a gray. And if I will add another rectangle, and I will just duplicate them because it will be a little bit easier. Sorry, wrong keyboard. Okay, so same, but now I will a little bit move that so it will be from 55, and it will be not height 20 but just 10. And I will change a color to some green. We already have the 2 lines
bars.
in 2 bars. And if I will make it a little bit smaller.
And later in DAX, you will connect certain parts to your measures.
Exactly. Nice. Because you will be just calculating the end width that needs to be used. And if you have it just between 0 and 100, it's very easy to calculate it because you have just percentage. And right now I will just also add some end for us, which will be just the line. And I will currently create that line very easily. So I will use a line x1, so the first point, which will be, let's put it on 90. So 90 U1, which will be It can be even further, or it can be same. So
Can be
let's.
outside, yeah.
It can be outside. So let's make it 40. X2, which will be still a 90, because we need to have a straight line, and U will be, which we have it for. So 80. Nothing was shown, and that's because we still need to set up the color of our line, and that's stroke attribute. So black.
Great.
As you can see, it directly appeared, and if I would like to have it a little bit thinner,
so you can adjust
stroke,
right? Or
width,
the width,
0.5.
Yeah, that's better.
It's much better. Maybe I don't want to have it as a full line. Okay, let's make it a little bit better.
Nice.
So stroke dash array 5. Oh, maybe
3.5. Steve, we are running out of time. I'm okay with going on a bit longer, but maybe we have to go towards our ending. So you have very quickly showed us how easy it can be to create a bullet chart. I think it's, for me as a newbie, it would take me a bit more time to find it out and to know what to type, etc. But the idea is perfectly clear to me. So
I will maybe just add one more thing into the full understanding, because currently I've shown you that it can be used directly in the Power BI, but I would like you to think a little bit more outside of the box. Because I know this is already outside of the box. We can agree on
it is far outside of my box.
We can be much more further. Imagine the scenario that I'm working in my teams, and I would like to see some details about some specific product, or maybe every single week I would like to receive some summary about what happened based on the data that I have already in my semantic models. And in that case, I don't want to just go to Power BI reports, because I don't want to be leaving my app that I'm currently using. I would like to receive it directly here. And that's also something where SVGs can help you, because as I showed you, it can be used to generate almost anything. So you can have Power Automate that can directly go and start sending through the execute query endpoint the calls for your SVGs, or it can be even used like this. So I can specify which program I would like to see. So IoT sensor, for example, B or C1. Hit, and I just received into my teams the SVG that was generated in my semantic model, and it was sent it to me directly into my chat. So if I would like to see the details, I can just click on show details, and it will navigate me directly to my Power BI where the result are.
And so the product name that you have here, you defined that in Power Automate.
Yep.
And with that, okay. Well, Power Automate, very interesting to know this. That this is a possibility, absolutely. But we would have to re-invite you, I think, to learn more about this.
Maybe just not to scare people, I would like to show that there are just
for people who are on the level that where I'm not yet. Yes, go ahead.
So there are just 4 steps in a Power Automate that are capable of doing this. It can be even just on a 3 steps. So it's extremely easy to create something like this. So definitely don't be afraid of that. Try to explore a little bit more the SVGs, because they can open to you another world of data visualization in case of Power BI, and even outside of it.
Nice. Very nice. Then can I maybe ask one last question?
Of course.
With the new plans of Microsoft with Power BI, with a lot of more functionalities, adding the mini charts to card visuals, etc. What's the future of SVGs? Big question.
I would say no one can precisely answer this question because we never know. We can say that lots of stuff, at least I hope, we will be able to do without an SVGs. But as I showed you, they can be used even after. So if I have them in my model, I can very easily reuse them in more tools. So
nice.
it's not just about investing your time for visualization in Power BI. It can be used anywhere else. It can be even used in a PySpark notebooks. I know we have here a lot of other libraries that can be used for that, but for someone, it can be also quite handy.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much. And thank you for your time, for all your preparations. See you next week on the next conference.
Yeah, next week you will be able to meet us both on this.fo, the Faroe Islands, and I'm extremely looking forward. So thank you so much for inviting me here. It was a pleasure. I hope that everyone who listened this learned something new, and it was, and I hope it was helpful. So thank you for having me.
I'm sure they did. Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, and I see a lot of thanks coming in. So thank you very much for your time, Steve, and all the viewers. Thank you very much, and I hope it was interesting to you. And see you next month. Next week, it's Jeroen again with the normal Get Response Live. And in a month, we have the next Design Donderdag again. So see you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.